Alrighty, here we go. Nice and awake. Hopefully, I won't be dragging too much. It's not going to be the typical, recording this at like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. No. We're recording this now at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's not going to be as boring. I've been posting a lot of the meme videos just to kind of, just to keep the interest up. I'll probably do another. I think I'll do like a Close Combat 3 vid. I'll do the Battle of Berlin, or excuse me, the storming of the Reichstag one, the last one. I'll do the Soviets and whatnot. So I'll probably do that. Anyways, beyond that, there's been some stirrings in certain communities. I am not going to specify because you know what? I don't really care that much, but I saw that there is beef and drama between religious folks and the anti-theists or atheists, atheist types. And I've thought about this before, but I'm going to explore this theory. And as we see the title, are atheists the true defenders of capitalism? Are atheists the true defenders? And by the way, I should have said this at the very start, but I'll say it here. This is a picture of the Sandinistas. Of course, famously, the Sandinistas promoted more of a liberation theology sort of aspect, which is kind of connected with Catholicism loosely. I'm sure I don't think the Vatican probably approves necessarily, but I think that there are points. I'll go ahead and switch to this one. This is a pretty good one. There we go. That one's pretty good. Just, give y'all something a little bit, instead of that pulsing avatar, which I think is a nice avatar. But anyway, so it's interesting to think about. I've heard about atheists. Of course, atheists are the ones that are always promoting science. And of course, science in many ways is beholden to capitalism. That's not to say that, science and capitalism, but I think that, it's a complicated thing. But I think if people are truly atheistic and they don't believe in any gods, this and that, of course, they'll be the first ones to say, no, but we shouldn't persecute religions and we shouldn't, persecute religious people. Obviously, even Lenin said that back when, it was called the Russian Social Democratic Party. The thing is this, I've seen these folks who are just like, well, actually, the U.S. was founded under people who were influenced by the Enlightenment. And I say, that's interesting. You mean the Jacobins, the French Enlightenment? No, not them. Oh, you mean the English, the ones who kicked out the Calvinists because they were considered too rowdy? Like I say. And so their argument kind of, and they stop talking because then it's like, oh. And they're the ones that will say, oh, well, why is the U.S. so wealthy? Because it's made up of individuals that are driven, which I think is kind of close to my definition. The U.S. is not rich. Individual companies are rich and entrepreneurs are rich and, numerous other folks are rich, but the country as a whole, people as a whole, they're not financially rich or cash rich, if you will. They can be rich in culture. Like I say, rich can be used in many different ways. You can be culturally rich, or you can, this chocolate is too rich, or what, like I say, that's a very complicated thing. But I think that atheists ultimately are the true defenders of capitalism because it gives them room to promote their secularism. I think that in many ways, folks will adapt to capitalism and make it work for them. But if it was a different system, if it was an integralist system, as Catholicism has promoted, or at least used to, then people would go along with that. Or if it was more of a, like I say, Islam also has their versions of the way the system would work. and I'm not sure the name of it. I remember I looked it up on Wiki a long time ago. I know, Wiki's bad, I know. But I think that, and obviously you do have, evangelicalism and whatnot, which I'm just going to be honest with you. Evangelicalism is not true Christianity, in my opinion. I think it is and I try not to use, I'm trying to say the N-word less. I'm trying to curse a little bit less because, like I say, I'm trying to be more grown up, but it is a bastardization of Christianity, in my opinion. They promote this whole idea where it's just like, we have to defend Israel, give us money. It became much more self-helpish, Think people like Joel Osteen, who, even though he's got a big ministry down in Houston, his ministry wasn't open to folks, when storms hit and whatnot. This is not the winter storm. This is about something else. But I think in general, I wasn't really sure where I was going with this, to be honest with you. But I think that atheism lends itself to capitalism. Because honestly, when you wrap itself, obviously the history of it, atheism kind of comes from, the Enlightenment. It comes from more the defense of this idea of, well, actually, capitalism, is actually a pretty good system. Look at how it's improved lives and stuff like that. Yeah, even Marx said things like this. But I think it's a very complicated thing. But I think that ultimately I do feel that, atheism lends itself to capitalism. In general, and like I say, and I do want to separate here, is that, a lot of, proper MLs and anarchists and whatnot will at least give lip service to religion. So they will speak about Islam and not really understand, the ideas of Islam necessarily, or will give lip service to, such as liberation theology. A lot of people talk about that, obviously, because of the Sandinistas. So they give, like I say, in general, they see themselves as folks in general that don't care about Christianity. That's my opinion anyway. But I feel like atheism lends itself to capitalism because, in my opinion, atheism would not exist the same way as it does without capitalism. Is it one defends the other, Oh, look at all these backwards people who believe in, not blood transfusions or whatever the case may be, or look at what the Catholic Church is doing with the pedo stuff and all that. Oh, how dreadful this and that. And I think that this is how it defends it. Look at capitalism, the way it has lifted people out of poverty, and it has made them separate themselves from the evil, the backwards nature of religion, whether it's Islam, whether it's, to a point, Hinduism or whatever the case may be. This is something that people will defend the British Empire for. They'll say, oh, well, I've noticed this, and it's something I really didn't think about, but it makes sense now, is that, of course, they will talk about the ritual executions and the human sacrifices that occurred in India. And because the British were so polite, they got rid of that. So they're good people, I guess, in somebody's eyes. I don't know. But I'll finish up with this because I think that there's something that I don't get. Another aspect of this, of course, is Zionism. Zionism, or revisionist Zionism, because obviously legit Zionism means that you'll return to Israel when when the Messiah returns. But the 144,000 and the 7 tribes, then they can return to Israel. But that's a whole other thing. But the thing is, though, is Zionism, revisionist Zionism, is also, of course, atheistic and was influenced by socialism as well. You will have groups like the Young Guard, aka Hashomer Hatzair, and this and that. You did have groups like Batar as well, of course, which is more of a right-wing group, started, of course, by our good old friend Zaev or Vladimir Jabotinsky, which was considered more fascist at the time. But I want to read this little bit here, which kind of gives a clue about how people feel about how Zionism is, or at least how it was in Poland in particular. This is from the book, The Avengers of Jewish War Story. Sorry. I don't know why I blanked on that. I'm going to say, okay. So we're talking about Ruska Korczak, the one that was in relationship with Abba Kovner. It's been a while since I talked about this, but I'll finish it up with this. Ruska was not religious. Like many Zionists, she had a secular notion of history. A Judaism centered less on God than on the people, the story, the glory, the fall. She believed in the story more than the deity, the story of the Jews and how each person turns it into his or her own personal story. Her father said he respected her beliefs and asked only this one favor. I expect to be back home before the holiday, said Ruska. But if I'm not, I will fast. I promise it. As she left her house, Ruska heard her mother say in a soft voice to herself, I will never see her again. And like I said, this, of course, goes back to the fact that these are partisans and everything else. They were part of, the group Nakam. But that is a story for possibly another day. Like I said, maybe I'll try to find the good stuff in here, and I'll read through this. Anywho, that kind of gives you an idea of that. Now, of course, like I say, now Zionism, of course, is just based on the Israeli state and everything else. It's a whole different thing. It's evolved from the days of Theodor Herzl. And like I say, I know people are going to say this, be like, well, you're being anti-Semitic. No. I'm just trying to explain the evolution of Zionism and how atheism is wrapped up in that as well. Anywho, I think that's all I have to say about it. I hope y'all enjoy this video. So see you later, and a goodbye.